Buckle up, Buttercup. It's Pittsburgh Sports Talk. I'm Mike. He's Tank. You know, I took that hit to the head years ago. I kind of get dysfunctional on occasion. Yeah, he's Mike. I'm Tank. And you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Mike, do you think they're slowly becoming Mason Rudolph fans? Those yinzers out there in Steelers Nation?
Well, no, not yet. I think people are still a little, the jury's out still. You know, they want to see big plays down the field. They want to see touchdowns, but that's not what the team is right now. The team is playing, relying on its defense, protecting the football, and the key is getting the run game going and using a lot of different personnels.
Well, you had to since James Conner is out, and there's a little rumor going around, Mike, that it may not just be a shoulder with James Conner, but there's a rumor that it may be the old clavicle, which is a whole different injury, baby.
And that won't be the first time Pittsburgh this season has
$75,000 fine for one Ben Roethlisberger had a bad nose, a bad ear. It was a bad elbow. 75 beans.
You know, and I understand, you know, you want to be protective of what the teams prepare for. And, you know, James Conner is definitely a much bigger upgrade than, you know, Terrell Edmonds. He did a nice job stepping in. He had a couple big run plays. But again, when a team knows that James Conner's in, they're putting much more work into stopping the run that week because they know how much more productive the Steelers are when James Conner's in the game running the football.
You know, when Connors came in, you know, we figured, okay, this is a feel-good story. He's the kid next door from Pitt. You know, he's going to be your third string running back. He's going to be maybe a second string running back, pound and hammer a little bit. James Conner has got the shake and bake going. James Conner is distinguishing himself as one of the best runners in the league, potentially. Then this injury comes along. I know he's no Gurley, but Mike, it's a huge surprise how good he has become.
Well, you know, he's definitely been a pleasant surprise. He's been very strong running the football. He runs extremely hard. You know, he's a guy that went out there. He's battled cancer. He got back from that. But he runs so hard and he runs so aggressive, which is great, but he has to learn how to protect himself. And here's the thing, a lot of good running backs, they do a really good job. Like Le'Veon Bell, he did a really nice job of never letting anyone get a big hit on him, getting a big shot. And that's why his longevity has been a little bit longer, I think. James Conner, you'll see, you know, last year he got banged up near the end of the year. This year he's banged up, you know, a couple times now. He runs so hard, and you know, and for the first time, it was 2 weeks ago, he actually ran and actually slid to protect himself. And so it's not just from me just watching the film and noticing that he needs to protect himself. You could tell that it's coming from in the organization. Hey, you got to protect yourself sometimes. You don't need to make the big play. You don't need to lower your shoulder on every play. Protect yourself. We need you.
Okay, so the Indiana Colts come to town. No Johnny Unitas, no Andrew Luck. They got the Percett there at quarterback, Mike. His leg gets blown out. Fortuitous circumstance for the Pittsburgh Steelers, no doubt, this week.
Yeah, you know.
You got to go against a second-teamer in Hoyer.
Yeah, you know, and even Jacoby Brissett was struggling a little bit early in the game, and then you saw, you know, Hoyer come in, and he did a great job, I thought. You know, he had that one interception where Micah Fitzpatrick comes in, steps in front of it, and takes it.
Was that beautiful?
And he's been a tremendous upgrade. He has completely transformed this team, this defense, because before the Steelers could get some big plays on him, now with Fitzpatrick kind of back there at the QB spot on the defense, he's been a huge upgrade, a big playmaker, and quite all, you know, they get a lot of turnovers because of him. He's been getting averaging one a game.
I think Fitzpatrick, myself, I think is destined to be a Steelers Hall of Famer, but I'm getting 20 years ahead of myself down the road. Running back by committee, back to the running back situation. Guess what? James Conner goes down. You got some other quality running backs. One of them's got some hands out of the backfield.
Well, Jalen Samuel's always been able to catch the football out of the backfield, and he, you know, was accounted for over half the targets this past week against the Colts. You know, that was Mason Rudolph's favorite target, and it's a great security blanket for a young quarterback. Here's the thing. You don't want Mason Rudolph to come in. You know, fans were saying, "Oh, we want to see him throw the football down the field."
Chuck it down there, 47 yards.
You don't want that. Here's the thing: the recipe for success right now is running the football. Hey, you have a good defense. When you have a young quarterback, you need good defensive play and a good run game, and that's what the Steelers are leaning on. They actually got away from they still kind of go the 5 wide here and there, but you'll notice they had a lot of 12 personnel, which is one running back, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. They had a lot of 22 personnel, which is two running backs, a fullback and a running back, and then 2 tight ends. And, you got Nick Vanette, you got Vance McDonald, you got Roosevelt Nix all in the game. It's heavy
and
run
Zach
package.
Banner.
And now, but you see the Steelers mixing up their personnel. A lot of formations, a lot of different personnel groups in the game. At least 8 or 9 I counted this past week. Multiple, bringing an extra tackle in the game, heavy run packages, and then you can actually work play action off of that. It's going to open things up. The teams that are most successful right now, obviously, you look at the team. You look at the Patriots; they just lost this past week to the Ravens. But
are the
the
Ravens
teams that
on the rise,
but
or
the teams
what,
that are the
baby?
most successful aren't the teams just airing it out all over the field. It's the New England Patriots. What do they have? A great defense, a good run game. They got Tom Brady that can have some big games here and there, but they rely on the run game. They got running back by committee: Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead. They've got Henderson. They've got so many guys over there. A lot of play action pass. Then you go to the San Francisco 49ers, the only undefeated team left.
Amazing.
Running back by committee.
Yep.
You got Tevin Coleman. You got Matt Breida. They just
And
got
that big tight end of theirs. What the hell?
and George Kittle.
Oh my God, he's a mountain.
And the other best defense in the league. You got the Patriots with the best defense, and then you got the 49ers with the second best defense, in my opinion. Then you've got the Ravens right now. Heavy run game. You don't see
Ingram
Lamar
is
Jackson
beautiful.
airing it out down the field. What he does is that run game that they run, they've got Ingram and they've got Jackson. It's a double threat run game. And what happens is you have to bring extra men up in the box. And then what that does is now that opens up the play action pass. And Mark Andrews for the Baltimore Ravens. Not so many people. Obviously he came from Oklahoma, but he wasn't a big pass-catching tight end before. Now all of a sudden he's a
doesn't the
big part.
offense
Hayden
allow him to be
Hurst. They've
successful?
got 3 tight ends: Boyd and Hurst and Andrews. And who's the main receiver? They got Hollywood Brown.
Whoever's open,
but
right?
They got Hollywood Brown, but he's been kind of banged up. And you got Willie Snead, who's been there for years, but the run game opens things up. So the thing is the teams that are being successful are the teams that are running the football and playing good, solid defense and not having their quarterback sit back there and throw the ball 50 times a game.
I love it. Well, here is the question, Mike. I talked to Steelers fans. We got some feedback on the website. Funny, the Steelers just clawed their way to a 4-4 record. We're halfway through the season. You've lost your Hall of Fame quarterback. Your star running back is dinged up. There's still a sense of optimism with this football team that somehow it can congeal, it can come together, and somehow, I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but at least claw themselves into a position that they're into a wild card spot. 2 weeks ago, I would have never thought it, but this is the word you're hearing out there in Steelers Nation. Hey, these guys might got a chance. You know what? They might got a chance. Your thoughts?
Well, that's the thing. They're finding ways to win.
Finding ways to win.
And if you look, you can go back to the beginning of the year, in the first month of football in September, you see a lot of teams battling it out, but it's still kind of like, how's it going to go? How's the season going to go? You can look at the Cincinnati Bengals early in the season, competing with the 49ers, competing with the Buffalo Bills, another good team that runs the ball and has good defense, but competing with the Bills, competing with the Niners, competing with the Seahawks in every single one of those games, and they lose it at the end, okay? So what happens is they're playing close football, but they find ways to lose. So what happens is come October, November, now they're just a pushover. And what happens is the attitude in that locker room, it's hard to show up every single day. On the other hand, the Steelers are starting to find ways to win games, okay? Yeah, they lost their Pro Bowl quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, so they have to bring everyone together. They pick up a piece, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's been a huge help on the defense, and now all of a sudden they're finding ways. And how are they finding ways to win? They got great defense, they make some turnovers, and they try to tell their quarterback, hey, we got to run the football and be a little bit more conservative with the football. Hey, just don't turn the football over. You don't want Mason Rudolph. Everything he's doing right now, for the most part, is pretty good. You don't want him airing it out. You want him to be more of a game manager.
Win the game.
And here's
Find
the thing.
the open guy,
This past
win the
week,
game.
he threw an interception early in the game to Juju. Look, might have been a little bit of a forced throw, but here's the thing. It hit Juju in the hands, and Juju will be the first guy to say he should have had that football.
An off game.
Just quit. Mason Rudolph, for the most part, he's playing pretty solid. A couple times he tries to force it into Juju. He wants to try and get Juju his touches. Don't do that. Take what the defense gives you. And if it means checking the ball to Jalen Samuels and picking up 5-6 yards every single time or 3 yards, and then you have to punt to play field position and rely on your defense, do
absolutely.
it. Because here's the thing. You got the schedule left. You've got at least
Mike,
3
let's
wins.
get in. Yeah, exactly. That's where
You've got the Bengals.
Let's get into this schedule. We got to look. If this defense keeps getting a little psycho and jacking people up. You got some powder puffs right now that may be willing to lay down and quit for the rest of the season against the statement that they may fumble backwards into the wild card position is premised upon the 8 games they've got left. They've got some powder puff teams on the schedule.
Well, right now they're 4-4. So the main thing is you got to try to get the 9. You got to get at least 9 wins to try and get into that wild card talk. And if you can get the 10, then you're that's extra. But you've got at least 3 wins in my opinion. You've got the Cardinals, you've got the Jets, and you've got the Bengals. Those are almost, I can't say guaranteed, but they're close to they're close to guaranteed wins. And then you've got 2 against the Browns, and the Browns are an absolute mess. Now, if they get their stuff right, they've got so much talent over there, and they're starting to be the team that's like, we're going to find ways to lose.
They bought into it. The Browns bought into everybody going, you're great, you're wonderful. They bought into it.
But
now look at them.
But here's the thing: the Steelers, they're 4-4. They've got 3 wins: the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Bengals. That puts them at 7 wins. Now they have to steal 2. Is that 2 from the Browns? Is that 1 from the Rams? Hey, the Ravens are at the end of the year. Maybe the Ravens rest their guys. Maybe Lamar Jackson, they're like, hey, let's rest him for the playoffs, and now you don't have to face quite a strong Raven team. So they are right teetering on that bubble wild card line. I think the Buffalo Bills kind of own that number 1 wild card playoff right now.
Yeah, but they're coming here, and we're gonna cut their horns off.
Exactly, but here's the thing: the Colts are in that talk as well, and you've got the head-to-head tiebreaker against them. And then the Chargers are starting to get back in the mix, but you got the head-to-head against them with Devlin Hodges. So
somehow Rivers is leading the league in yardage right now, man.
It's because they can't run the football and they have to throw it, and they're playing from behind, and that's the reason. When you're playing, Danny Dalton was leading the league for a while too, and he was playing from behind all. So when you're look, that's the thing. You don't want to be leading the league in yardage and passing. You don't want to do it unless you're Patrick Mahomes, when you're airing it out and you've got weapons with Tyreek Hill, and you can do that. You can afford to do it with Travis Kelce. You don't want to play that type of football. You want to run the game. You don't want your quarterback leading the league in passing yards.
The bottom line is this, Steelers Nation. The word is HOPE. There is still hope, Mikey, that they may go into the playoffs in 2019.
And again, people always talk, you get these numbers. And everything's referred to fantasy football these days. Yeah. You look at the quarterbacks. If your quarterback is a really, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes. But if your quarterback's a top fantasy guy, obviously you got Lamar Jackson who can run the ball a lot. But, you look at Brady. You look at Garoppolo. Those guys aren't top fantasy football guys because, a quarterback with high fantasy football numbers is not the best recipe for winning football games. Now, you got a running back, you got a defense with fantasy football points, and you got some receivers with fantasy points. Yeah, that can help. But you don't want your quarterback, airing it out so much. You want to play the guys with the smaller numbers, to win football games, run the football, protect it. You don't need to
So you're
have
taking
these shootouts.
Mason Rudolph this week in your fantasy league with 374 yards passing?
No, I'm taking Russell Wilson.
He's taking Russell Wilson. All right, Pittsburgh, we will see what happens this week when the Los Angeles or St. Louis,
Los Angeles.
The Rams come to Pittsburgh, baby.